Okay, hi America. So a little bit more on domestic violence, part 3. So I wanted to talk about how they use technology to stalk you. And if they're in the military, you're pretty defenseless. But I'm going to tell you some examples that was done with me. For one, like if you are married, of course you have shared credit cards and they will be able to find you if you're using that. Just remember that. And then if they have the phone plan, you don't have any say and you really need your own bank account. Do not put them on. You need your own phone plan, and you really shouldn't be using anything like Facebook or really any kind of social media, because that's how they stalk you. So I had a Facebook, and my ex-husband, I had left some yearbooks, and he went into my yearbook and picked somebody out of there randomly and scanned the image and created a Facebook profile with that person's name. And that person, and he asked to be a friend on my Facebook, and I said okay. And at this time I was deployed, and he was remarried with another child on the way. His first or second, I'm not sure. I think it was just his first child on the way. I don't remember. But they were having problems again. Well, he was always having problems. This was his second marriage. So anyway, so this is one of the ways that he kept tabs on me, and they're kind of strange in the way, like, normal people don't think like them, so I always found the whole thing odd. I don't understand it. So, and then my LinkedIn, kind of more as a more recent thing, I discovered a certain person, and I can't confirm it, but I found someone had logged into my account, and they were logged in all the time. And you can see where what city that person's computer is logged in at, and did a little research, and I believe I know who this person is. And so I don't have Facebook or LinkedIn, and so I kept my Facebook for a little while, but then I finally just deleted everything for other reasons besides, like, the whole thing is kind of a depressing place. In my opinion, and it's controlled, so like your opinions, if they're contrary to the Facebook people, like your friends aren't going to know about them. So I didn't like that, and then I felt like it was kind of a fake place, and then I did post something one day, and I do believe my ex-husband found me that way, and he sabotaged the car that I had. So it mostly just goes against what you need. And LinkedIn also gave away my location, and is the reason I left, and I'm kind of in the situation I am right now. But really right now, like, you really can't hide anywhere, and that will be very evident soon. It's impossible, especially if they're in the military. Then I wanted to talk about maybe I can talk some more about how I got away. It was a long process of deciding to get away. It is a hard decision, and I would definitely, it is dangerous to get that book for a lot of women. My husband, the day that he did chase me to the police station, he was given an order that he had to stay away for the weekend, and it was a very peaceful weekend. I was so afraid, and I was so accustomed to living with fear, I didn't trust in those comforting feelings that did come from the Lord. And my husband found me at the library and talked me into letting him come back and patch things up. And I wanted that marriage so badly. I wanted it to work. I wanted a family. And he was that person that I loved in the beginning. He acted like that person. He knew how to behave. He knew how to schmooze. And so that's what I saw at the library. He came and found me, and it was against the law for him to do that. But I was a fool, and a lot of abused women are. You're fools to let them come back. They don't change. I mean, I'm not saying they can't. I'm just saying that the consequences for them are not enough for them to change. The law really has to come down on them, or they don't. Women are too afraid. I was too afraid because our bank account depended on him not having a protective order. Being able to feed the children and pay the house payment depended on him staying out of jail, or, you know, but the law has to come up with a way, because this affects everyone. It affects you being safe on your streets. And it teaches children as well to be violent. It's passed on down. He taught our oldest. He was violent with our oldest. And it doesn't take very many times to teach those kinds of things, to intimidate, to scare, to manipulate. It just, you know, doesn't take, and to riot, to be disrespectful. My oldest is very disrespectful to law enforcement. My dad was a policeman. And my ex-husband, when I was in the military, he spoke very disrespectfully of the military. Even though my oldest, he wanted to be in the military, but couldn't. So those are a few more things. Another time I did try to get away. My husband had been walking around. This was the third time. He'd been really walking around the house with a gun. He kept threatening me, telling me that I was going to become like the woman that had disappeared, and everyone, they were talking about in the news that they believed her husband had murdered her. And he would say, you're going to be like the woman that disappeared. And then he would get out this gun and walk around the house. And he started doing that in August. And I remember going with my friends to a park and just feeling kind of removed from the whole experience, because I felt like in another world. I didn't know how to speak about this thing that was happening to me. And they were happy and worried about normal things. But I had this husband trying to kill me. And he gets this look in his eyes, the same look my dad would get, and they look crazy. But it's maybe more of a possession, like possessed with the devil. Like they are not mentally ill, because they can control it. My husband even would try, we were in a motel once with our children, and he wanted to have sex, and I said, no, the children are in the same room, even if they are asleep, I will not. So, and I didn't like having sex with him, because I didn't have feelings for him. It was not, I would tell him, finally I told him, like, you're like a father, you control me like a father, like, I don't have feelings for you like a husband. And he would accuse me of being a lesbian. And after you hear that long enough, I started to wonder, maybe I am lesbian, because I don't have any feelings at all for you. But that is actually a normal tactic of abusive men, to manipulate their wives. But he would also rape me. And so of course I didn't have feelings for him. He would yell at me all night. I would take the medications to help me sleep so I wouldn't have nightmares. But it made me sleep. And it would make him angry. And so he would go down and watch porn, and then he would come up, and he would go through the night, and he would come up, and he would literally bust down the door. I don't know how many times he busted the frame on our door, and our children are in the room next door. And by 4 or 5 in the morning, he would come in and rape me. And then I would have to leave. He would force me to get up and leave and go to the gym. Like, I liked going to the gym, but that he would actually tell me, you have to leave now. And I would actually had an assignment to be back by 6:30. If I wasn't back by 6:30, I wasn't a good wife, because that was something that our therapist was counseling us to do. to talk for 30 minutes. So he would use everything that was done in therapy to manipulate me and empower him. Everything. It was crazy. So therapy only is a tool to empower an abuser. Don't go to therapy with them because it will just empower them. They don't change. Only jail changes them. And he picked up smoking. So with the next wife, like, she was harder on him. Like, she fought back more physically, and he banged her head into the walls. But he did have to do some work duty, and he picked up smoking and drinking. Like, he didn't do that before. He just got more lovely and fat. And also another time I was going to tell you about that I left. It was December 18th, I think. I fled because I was so afraid with the gun thing. So it was right before I finally left for good. But the guns had been returned. They had been taken away in August because he was brandishing the guns. And then they were returned to him, and then he got them out again. And nobody really got how dangerous and how scared I was, and how often he was terrorizing me. So I left, and he had taken the keys to the car. That's something else he would do. He would take the keys to the car, or he would disable the car so I couldn't take the car. So I actually walked to Salt Lake, which was like 50 miles, I don't know, from where I was living. I was living in Lehi, Utah. And I walked like down by the railroad. It was like technically probably dangerous, but like my home was way more dangerous. And this is kind of where like I get really angry. Like, I was so angry my friends wouldn't help me. I was trying to get to the homeless shelter, trying to find a place I could get some safety, but no one took this seriously. They were more concerned with their Christmas cards, literally, and getting to their kids' Christmas concerts, and I just felt like my life was being held in limbo, like kind of like right now. But like the Lord, so I guess my message for other women is definitely the Lord hears your prayers. And but sometimes because we live in mortality, like, it's just gonna happen. Like, they're gonna win. And until like the law and people wake up, like, your blood is gonna be on their hands, and it is on the hands of the community, and you will be punished, community. I just don't see how you will be able to get out of it, and it may take a while, but you will be. And I finally got to Salt Lake, but I could barely walk. It took me 2 days. I took the train part of the way, but he finally called. I got to Salt Lake Temple, and went and sat in one of their buildings where they receive everybody. But I tried to get into a shelter, a domestic violence shelter, but I couldn't. And I was afraid. I'd been told by someone that they'll take your children. So I was afraid to go into one of those. So I couldn't get anything figured out. And so I went and sat in Temple Square in one of these buildings, and I didn't know what